try and simplify things enough to just do three numbers. If they can remember three numbers, then they'll be able to get out of here okay. So nobody should have to take notes. The first number is 2 million. So during the Great Recession, there were 3.5 million households that did not form for whatever reason. So they didn't get the job they wanted. Maybe they got laid off from the job, had to move in with a friend. Either they came out of college and had to move back in with mom and dad. 3.5 million people did not spill out onto the marketplace, either for housing, for consumer goods, all that stuff. And so what that did was it hamstrung a lot of the Great Recession, or sort of the Great Recovery after the Great Recession. Those people are starting to move out of their basements. And what makes us relatively optimistic about the next 2 years is that there's still 2 million people that have not moved out of mom and dad's basement, so to speak. So there's a lot more pent-up demand that can at least release itself onto the U.S. economy if given the chance. The second number that I want to talk about is 44%. Now, 44% is how much in 4 years states and local governments as a share of their budgets are going to spend on Medicaid, are going to spend on pensions, and are going to spend on interest on their debt. That's the equivalent to state and local government mandatory spending, which means that they can only spend 56% of their budget on everything else. So even with the improving economy, states and local governments are still in for a rough 4 years. They're going to have to do everything they can to make sure that they're able to streamline those other services as best as possible, be able to continue to maintain the level of services to their constituents. And then the last number is, it's kind of cheating, it's not a number, it's a date. So April 28th is the deadline for the continuing resolution for this federal fiscal year, which means we don't have a federal budget after April 28th, which means that in the next 2-3 months, we're going to see a lot of wrangling at the Capitol to see how we're going to fund our budget, how we're going to address things like the debt ceiling, how we're going to address appropriations levels going forward, and how those negotiations play out will be a good bellwether for how Congress and the President are going to get along, and even the two different houses of Congress are going to get along going over the next 4 years. So we should get a lot of hints over the next 4-5 months about how we're going to be going forward for the rest of the term.